Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 222. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 7 p.m. You can go drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join in on the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week. First broken out topic by topic and put is one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you guys can support, likes, reviews, subs, whatever it is, it may seem small, but does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you. Today, playing a little catch up because I've been away. I am so sorry. We're going to be doing 4 topics today. Wide variety of stuff, talking some games, talking some movies. So let's jump on into it. Let's talk some indie games that I've been playing kind of since our last podcast. Just on my own off stream. Well, I guess one was on stream. So let's talk about those. Just some kind of quick thoughts, feelings about those experiences. So let's start off with one we actually did play on stream, is Haunty. Now, Haunty, if you guys don't know this game, we did play it briefly on a Steam Next Fest last year. I don't know, they all kind of blend. But Haunty is a kind of shoot 'em up, kind of go around collectathon game where you're this little ghost named Haunty, and you find a little angel friend, and she tries to help you kind of go to the afterlife. And you follow her, you hold hands, you go whee, and you're flying up into the sky, and then all of a sudden chains start whoosh, whoosh, going up and grabbing you, bringing you back down to purgatory, it seems. And doesn't allow you to kind of move on to the next plane of existence, heaven, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it. And your whole purpose in this game is to get back to your angel friend, and along the way also kind of figure out like who you were as a person, and like discover these memories about yourself. So we had the opportunity to play this on stream, had a great time with it. Like I said, it's a collection-based game, so throughout the game that you're playing, there's 4 different areas with a bunch of different levels in them. But it's kind of almost like Super Mario 64. Granted, I have very limited experience with that, so let's maybe compare it to Super Mario Sunshine, where there's a lot of different stars that you could get as you go into the level, but you have to kind of solve those things differently. Like, oh, maybe this time you got to do a little relay race. This time you got to go talk to this character and retrieve something for them. And there's those little challenges throughout. Unlike 64 or Sunshine, where they kind of kick your ass out of the level after you accomplish one, this one is just you're in the area, go around, try and find these things. There's 5 of these star fragments, I believe they're called. Go solve those things, try and collect as many of them as you want to a certain point before you progress on to the next level, the next section. And what these stars do is you can build constellations using them, and if you build a constellation, it allows you to see a memory of your character as they were alive, whether they're a child, an adult, whatever it is. You kind of get to see their life unfold and learn more about yourself. So that's the base gameplay there. There are other things that you can collect. I believe one section has leaves that you can collect. Oh, I'm blanking on other ones, but there's like this other currency that you can collect to use to get like little hats for your character, and other unlockables as you go through. So in the gameplay aspect, it's just that collectathon. There are moments in the game where you'll run into enemies, whether it's a big boss when you're trying to finish an area, or just little enemies randomly here and there that you can defeat, or they'll try and be your obstacle that you need to defeat rather, and that's where the shoot 'em up element comes in. It's kind of like a twin stick shooter, just aim, you know, blast them, go from there. Along with that, you can also, because you're a ghost, you can haunt stuff. So you can possess different objects, whether it's a mountain, a tree, different little characters around that are trying to help you throughout, that have maybe special abilities, where they can jump super high, or they carry a little lantern so you can go in the darkness. You can possess those guys to help try and solve some of those puzzles to get the star fragments or the other collectibles along the way. Overall, it's a very fun time. It's chill. It's a nice chill experience. A shorter one too. Didn't overstay its welcome. I enjoyed playing it. I think I was expecting a little bit more out of it in terms of an emotional response. When I saw the announcement trailer for this, and I don't remember when that was, but it was some point last year, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of like a sad boy game. Like, this is going to make me cry and do something. Like, it's going to affect me in some way. And I don't feel like it really hit that point ever again. You hit that that point in the trailer, as we talked about, like getting separated from your little angel friend early on in the game. And it never really reached that high again of like emotional weight behind it. I found it interesting finding the different memories for your character and like learning of their past, but it was never super duper clear what happened to them, if they just, you know, lived their life naturally and it was natural causes that they died. I didn't know if the angel was like a connective tissue to your character. It's kind of alluded to here and there that your character had this relationship in their lifetime, and I thought maybe the angel character was supposed to be them, but it never felt like this big reunion or anything like that. It just felt like, I think the story they were trying to tell is like, you need to let go of your memories, let go of that humanity that you have left in order to move on to the afterlife. And all these other ghosts that you run into and interact with and chat with, they're refusing to do that, and they feel like the angel characters are bad because they're trying to assist them to that afterlife, and they're like, nah, we're cool here, we're chilling. So while I enjoyed my time with it, it's probably just me putting that on the game of like, I was expecting more of that tugging of the heartstrings a little bit, and story there. So that's probably more on me. I would still recommend it to people. I think the art style is phenomenal. A little kind of hand-drawn, but very cute and fluid motions through everything. Like I said, it's a shorter experience too, so it's not one of those things where it's like all this heavy investment and then it just fizzles at the end. I don't think it was a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It just was like, yeah, that was fine. I didn't, get personally what I wanted out of it fully, but that also could have been just my expectation from what they put out there with that announcement trailer. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more, but Haunty was a great time. If you want something cute, you want something to, as we've talked about before in the past, kind of turn your brain off to, do that collecting. There is that narrative that you can pay attention to, but it's not like if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss everything, one of those. It's a fun game overall. Moving on to our next game. This one's going to be a very quick one because I just haven't put a lot of time into it. Pacific Drive. This one came out last year. It is a driving survival game. And I know that's a weird kind of combination to put together, but that is what I've picked up from it. So the story here is you're stuck in like a quarantine zone. For some reason, you get zapped into this quarantine zone after driving too close to the area. Excuse me. And inside this zone, there's a lot of experimentation done. And there's all these like storms and anomalies that are happening in this area. When you land there, you get contacted by some of the scientists or people that are stranded, still living in this zone, that whoever caused this just left behind because they didn't want to deal with it. You get contacted by them, and they are kind enough to try and help you like get to safety and figure out what you need to do to even try and escape this place. And the whole gameplay loop here is you go out on runs essentially, and you are trying to gather resources to improve your car, which is a station wagon. You're improving those things to eventually try and find your way deeper and deeper into the storm to try and like get and find a way out of this quarantine zone. It's a strange game. I enjoyed the concept behind it, I thought it would be a lot more fun. And maybe it's just my small brain, but there is a lot of information this game throws at you, and it is very confusing. What resources do what? What is the like goal of all of this? And what are you trying to achieve in all these runs? Like, should I be getting a certain resource? When I find certain things, it's not super clear of like what to do with it, how to transfer it, how to enhance what I'm working on. And I found that just a little discouraging when getting into it, of just that understanding. If it's not too hard, but if it doesn't have that good translation aspect to it, it's like, you're kind of holding me back from playing this in a way. So that's where I kind of hit the wall with Pacific Drive. I think the elements and the areas that you're going in and what it's trying to do with its environmental storytelling is really cool. It was just making that gameplay loop fun and understanding. So yeah, you essentially just go into levels, take your little station wagon, and you're like just going to different houses, ransacking them essentially for these scraps and materials. And then when you're ready, you activate kind of like a teleporter to get back to your garage, which is like your home base. But when you're doing it, as you're driving throughout these little mini maps, levels, whatever it is, the anomalies are there. So the anomalies could be, now granted it was early, so there's probably going to be even crazier ones, but there could be spikes that just randomly, kind of shoot up in different areas. There could be like a lightning storm. There could be little mannequin-looking people that if you run into, jolt your car. There were spike balls, which I believe they're called bunnies, but they would hop like tumbleweeds around the map, and they would latch onto your car and cause like malfunctions. So you'd have to shake them off. There was randomly like similar to Watson from Apex Legends, how she puts those little electric fences up. There'd be random ones of those where you'd have to like disconnect them or figure out a way around them to get through the map. So you'd have these different obstacles that you'd have to deal with, the anomalies. But then also once you're ready and you trigger the teleporter, it's like, okay, you got to drive to this exit point. And then once you activate this, the storm, similar to Fortnite, like closes in on you. And you got to get to that exit point before you die in the storm and it swallows you whole. And boy, is that stressful. In your little station wagon going off-road, off-road jumps, bumps, dodging the anomalies, whatever it is. You're just like, shit, going around. It can get kind of hectic. So yeah, I don't know if it's just like one of those things I gotta try again and really just kind of be in that zone of like, all right, I gotta pay attention to what they're saying and not get confused by all the lingo and things they're throwing at me. It seemed like it would scratch that itch for me of kind of that game of just like collect, upgrade, go from there. But yeah, it was just too much for me. And there's a lot of mechanics to it as well, along with the upgrade system and the materials. Like your car, you can get in and out of the car at any point. You drive to the location, get out, get your thing. You got to put the car in park. You got to turn the lights on. You got to put it in drive. Whatever. There was a few times I got out of my car just like, I'm going to keep the car on, keep it running, and go in, look, and get the little things and come back. I would just get out and I forgot to put it in park and it just starts rolling away. I'm like, no, come back. So it's, you and that car are like tied together intrinsically. You need each other. So to have it just roll away from you was it just made me laugh. So yeah, Pacific Drive, there was elements of I liked it. It just did not connect with me fully in terms of my thought level, I guess you could say, my understanding. So I want to give it another try at some point, but right now I'm just like, nah, that's too much information. I don't need to study for a college exam to understand this. Moving on to our next game. This one I'll talk about very briefly as well because I haven't put a lot of time into it. And it didn't connect with me for a different reason. But it's a more recent title. It's called Thank Goodness You're Here. Now, I was looking forward to this one. Played it on my recent trip out to Colorado. It was kind of my game to kind of zone out while traveling. Thank Goodness You're Here is a very cute game in its art style. It's very colorful, cartoony, hokey in the best way possible, like crazy things happening. And the way it was presented is this is a task-based game where you are just going and helping out the citizens of whatever this town is. And it's just like quick, funny little task that they'll give you and they need your help with, right? Go gather this. I have a blockage here. Can you help me fix this? This shop is closed. I need it to be open so I can get this resource. Whatever it is. And it was fine. It's very, very crude in its humor. It's like British comedy, Task Manager. It didn't catch on to me. There's no tracker for your quests. You're just kind of walking around and hoping you run into stuff. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying this. To me, I was just like, there's something going on here. It's a disconnect. Granted, there could have been some outside factors in terms of the traveling that could have been affecting that. But I didn't get it at all. I was just like, yeah, this is funny and weird. I don't know what to do. I don't know where am I supposed to go? Anything. It is another shorter experience. So if you want to try it out and just kind of, laugh at the stupidity and weird situations that you get your character into, I'd say it's worth it. Maybe wait for a sale with it being a shorter thing. But yeah, I was like, I'm not understanding the appeal of this right now. Whatever. Last game I want to talk about is we talk about zone out games for a lot of things of just like, those games you turn your brain off and it's entertaining. It's a fun experience, even though you don't have to pay too much attention to what you're doing. And the game I'm about to talk to nails that on the head. It's Brotato. Now, Brotato is a shoot 'em up survival akin to Vampire Survivors. So I don't know why it's called Brotato. Your characters look like eggs. But you're just this little egg dude. There's a wide variety of characters. Some you unlock when you defeat the game with other characters, similar to like a Castle Crashers. But they all have different stats and modifiers of things that they do better or they do worse than other characters. And essentially what it is 20 waves of enemies, and you are just surviving till wave 20. You get a wide variety of different guns and weapons, from an SMG to a little cactus branch to just your fists to a missile launcher to whatever they throw at you. And you just take your little egg guy, and over time you are upgrading them with weapons, whether it's leveling up your weapons, gaining new weapons, improving their stats from their damage to their elemental damage to their dodge, their armor, their max health, their health regeneration, and using that and trying to survive shooting all the enemies around you. Not necessarily killing all of them, but just making sure you last that 60 seconds, that 30 seconds, depending on the wave, surviving that timer to get to the next wave, to then upgrade to do it all over again for the 20 waves. This game has been a lot of fun. It's very chill vibe, zone out too. Like I've been playing it a bunch while Lady and I have been watching some shows and stuff like that, or if I'm just trying to zone out before falling asleep or whatever it is. Somehow I have put 90 hours in this game. Goddamn. It's very fun. It's very chill. It's stupid in the best way of like, how is this something that's getting so much of my time and attention? It's one of those games where the hours just kind of melt away in the best way possible. Similar to a Hades and like games of that nature where it's just like, all right, gonna do it again, just another run. Difficulty wise, I did hit a little bit of a wall initially, but it's one of those things, even though the characters have their different modifiers, it's like, okay, I know what I'm aiming for here. Whether it is strategic or it's just like, you know what, I really like this weapon set. I really like the SMGs. I really like the elemental damage with flamethrowers or whatever it is. Once you find what works for you, granted, it may not work for all the characters because the stat stuff, but if you know what you're aiming for, you can kind of make those similar builds regardless of class. I think since that initial hump of difficulty of trying to beat it for the first time on difficulty 0, I think there's 5 difficulties in this, it's been not a cakewalk, but I've defeated it with, I don't know how many characters there are. I want to say there's 30, but let's say I've beaten it so far with like 15 of them throughout, and just that base difficulty. Throughout the 5 difficulties, I think I've gotten up to difficulty 4 with one of the characters and trying it out there. I was playing it actually earlier today. I think I got like halfway through that difficulty. So it's a lot of fun. I would recommend it. When I bought it, it was pretty inexpensive. I think we're talking single digits. So if you need something where you can just, once again, zone out, turn your brain off, kind of get that adrenaline rush, not adrenaline rush, but get those endorphins pumping. That melatonin, is that the happy feelings? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but you know, get those good vibes from it and feel like you're doing something. That's a game I highly recommend. And also with the shooting and all that stuff, you have options. Default, this is automatic shooting. It's just going to shoot or attack the people closest to you. You can turn on manual if you want to do that, similar to a twin stick shooter. Totally up to you. So you could be as involved or not involved as you want with this. You do have to move, I will give you that. So you will at least have that where you're not just sitting in a corner just blasting everybody. But in terms of a difficulty spike, it's not going to be huge in terms of brain power of what you need to do. It's just going to be a matter of maneuvering, kiting all the enemies around, you know, doing that kind of stuff. So Brotato, I would highly recommend. Never thought I'd be saying that, but it was a lot of fun. So if you like the Vampire Survivors type games, this is another one to put on your list.